Well, I'm in a weird situation on this one. Usually I try to do tons of research and be very expert level before speaking, but I can't cover everything. And Terriers is a very interesting one-season show that slipped under the radar. It's been getting a lot of recent interest again. So in this section, we're going to look at Southpaw, who recently separated from the EFAP, a very controversial podcast. And he's going to show that they are very much systemically lying about a very sensitive topic because they are clearly very biased.
And like, hey girl, I like you, do you like me, let's do stuff, which is totally allowed. Even if they're entangled with someone else. You could say it's bad etiquette, but I mean, we're talking about love here, it gets complicated.
You okay?
I said no, okay?
Katie? Hey. Everything okay here?
Yeah, everything's fine, Professor.
So to give some larger context, Terriers is a very neo-noir show, which features, yes, people who are morally corrupt, but they're very mixed, they do some good things and bad. This particular woman is essentially tied to the anti-heroes, and apparently that's why they don't like her very much. Now I think in the show it is ambiguous whether or not she was taken advantage of, but Southpaw says even if you take that interpretation, really deceiving people about what happened.
Taken advantage of while she was drunk? Well, here's that scene.
Hey, it's Brett. Give me a message.
Have problems?
Yeah, the key doesn't work.
Maybe it's because it's not your car. It's a sobriety test. I mean, if you can't find your car, then maybe you shouldn't drive it home.
That's actually very good advice.
Why don't you let me give you a ride?
I can't ride you. I have a boyfriend. Gavin.
It's clear from the show that this person was drunk, they are under the influence, so they're not altogether there, and they were taken advantage of. So from that, we probably can all agree, but how bad is this? Did she want to sleep with this person? I would regard it as an open question, honestly. So I think there are two things going on. One, is Southpaw proving his case against the EFAP? Yes. I think overall, it's shown very well with Terriers. They systemically lied. They lied just about everything. They lied about what the show is about, the characters, major plot, including this situation. They're misinterpreting things in a very radically distortive fashion. But then we get to the next level. What does that tell us about the EFAP fandom? Well, it says a large part of this fandom, even with red flags about Mauler being a sexist or working with Nazis or working with sexist Nazis, have a blind spot and don't really care or minimize his very questionable links and his very questionable interpretations. However, does that mean he's a sexist Nazi all the time? No, because he's a big Buffy fan and he keeps reminding people he's a big Buffy fan, and from all I can see, that's verified. However, that just goes to the question that you can be a Buffy fan but clearly come out, as incredible as it is, a sexist fascist. Apparently he understood Buffy at a very basic level, but not a deeper level. But in terms of Terriers, again, you are going to have the rare EFAP fan. These people do exist, man or woman, who will look at this scene and say, I don't care. I don't see what the big issue is. I'm not really moved by this big video Southpaw put out. And I saw the whole video, so it is a pretty thorough demolition of the EFAP hosts. But part of the EFAP fandom is okay. If they're being open-minded and honestly just don't care about this issue, that's their right to be opinionated in that way. And if you're just not caring about Terriers, you can watch Terriers and come away. I don't get it. I don't see the value of this. I don't see what we're debating about anyway. We should acknowledge there are going to be honest disagreements about sensitive topics, and people will not interpret the media the way you want to, so...
Love the titles of these files, by the way. You're not ready for me. I've never agreed with the victim blaming part, just...
I will recommend the video in terms of its exposing the deceptions of the EFAP. However, I do think Southpaw is not being entirely honest, and I do think he's framing things in a very narrow and sometimes not constructive manner. So on this issue, I can understand him being very sensitive, and that's fine, but that tells me only that the EFAP hosts are, yeah, they're a bunch of sexist morons, and a huge part of their fandom are a bunch of sexist morons. But is everyone in that fandom guilty? I think we have to leave that as a more open question mark.
After a night of going out, doing some drinking, she wakes up the following morning and oh no, she slept with the professor. Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
I know.
That stands in stark opposition to the concept you love somebody.
Oh, well, you know, she was drunk, right? That's probably the reason, Rags. She was drunk.
For appealing to death of the author when it comes to a fictional story's moral framing, which they even tried to do with this very show. They are adults, and they are supposed to be critics with an enhanced attention to detail, and they have spotted this sort of thing in stories in the past, without needing their hands held. They insisted that they gave this show their full attention as they would have with anything else, and even took notes. Maybe they just forgot how consent works. One of the more